All right, let's talk about something that's a huge deal for anyone who works with data. It's a standard called S1, and it's all about privacy, security, and basically being a responsible professional. So let's dive into what that actually means for you.
Has this ever happened to you? You order some food from a delivery app. It's quick, it's easy, but then the next morning, your inbox is just full of spam from companies you've never even heard of. It feels kind of gross, right? Well, that's exactly what happens when your personal data isn't handled with care. And that right there is why the S1 standard exists. You can think of it as your professional shield. It's the set of rules and, more importantly, the mindset that stops that kind of data misuse before it even starts. It's all about protecting people and building privacy into the system from day one.
Okay, so the official definition, yeah, it sounds a little bit formal, I get it, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. S1 just means you know how to work with data systems in a way that follows the law, follows your company's rules, and, most importantly, respects the privacy of real people. To really get this, let's put you in the driver's seat. Imagine you're a data analyst at a company we'll call Hungry Now. You have access to a ton of customer information. We're talking names, addresses, phone numbers, what they like to eat, everything. Your job is to use that data to make the service better, but you have to do it responsibly. So what does S1 actually look like when you're on the job at Hungry Now? How do you take that big idea and turn it into something you do every single day? Well, it really breaks down into 4 key things. First, you use secure systems. Second, you minimize the data you touch. Third, you know the rulebook. And fourth, and this is the big one, you build privacy in from the very start. Let's walk through each of these.
Okay, number 1, use secure systems. This is the absolute baseline. It means all your work stays inside the company's secure, approved digital walls, so no downloading a big spreadsheet of customer data onto your personal laptop. And please do not email a CSV file to your personal Gmail. That's a huge no-no.
So what that looks like in the real world is you'd be working in something like an encrypted cloud data warehouse. You know, the kind of system that makes you use multi-factor authentication just to get in. This is the professional standard that keeps data safe and keeps you compliant. Next up, data minimization. And honestly, it's just what it sounds like. It's the principle of only looking at the absolute bare minimum amount of data you need to do your job. Just because you can access everything doesn't mean you should. Let's go back to Hungry Now. If your task is to analyze delivery times, do you really need to see Jane Doe, 123 Apple Street, apartment 4B? No, of course not. That's what we call personally identifiable information, or PII. And looking at it when you don't need it just creates a totally unnecessary risk. Instead, what you probably need is just the postcode. That's it. By stripping out all those personal details and just using anonymized location data, you can still find the patterns and insights you're looking for, but without putting anyone's private information at risk. But here's the real sweet spot, the goal you're always aiming for, working with aggregated insights. See? Now you're not even looking at individual postcodes. You're looking at the big picture trend, like wait times are 15% longer in this whole postcode area. This gives the business the info it needs with the absolute maximum level of privacy protection. All right, number 3 is simple. Know the rules of the road. You have to be aware of the big data protection laws like GDPR, but also your own company's internal policies. Things like, how long are we allowed to keep customer data? Who are we allowed to share it with? And this isn't just about knowing the rules, it's about following them. So if your company policy says customer records get deleted after a year, it is your job to make sure any analysis you're doing only uses current data that you're actually allowed to have. And finally, we get to the heart of it all, privacy by design. I love this analogy. It's not about running around trying to plug leaks after your data has already spilled out. No, it's about designing the plumbing so that the pipes never, ever leak in the first place. It's proactive, not reactive. In your day-to-day job, this means you're asking questions before you build something. So, for example, before you even start creating a new dashboard, you'd check in with your company's data protection officer.
You make sure you're not about to accidentally show private info, and you double-check that only the right people will have access to it. So, why is this all such a big deal? Why does this good data hygiene matter so much? Because when you're dealing with people's personal information, the stakes are just incredibly high. There's no room for error. And if you get it wrong, the consequences are serious. We're talking about massive fines from regulators, for one. But maybe even worse is the complete loss of customer trust, something that's almost impossible to get back. And that can do permanent damage to a company's reputation. Okay, let's get super practical for a second. If you're building out your professional portfolio, you need to be able to prove that you get S1. So how do you actually show that you know how to do this stuff?
You do it with these clear, powerful I statements. Things like, I minimized the data I used in anonymized personal info, or I applied privacy by design by restricting access. These statements aren't just buzzwords. They are direct evidence that you know how to protect both your company and its customers.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. The S1 standard isn't just another rule you have to follow. It's really a question you should be asking yourself every single time you log in or open a spreadsheet. Am I respecting the data? Am I respecting the person behind that data? If you can answer yes to that, you're not just doing good analysis, you're building trust.